Hi, this is Kyle Korf, Sales and Agronomy at the Garden City Co-op. I'm here today to go over some wheat information for early April. Basically, what's on most people's mind here on this wheat is basically what we've been seeing for freeze damage. We had several freeze events in middle of March and here into the 1st of April. The big freeze event that we had on most guys' mind was on March 20th. We had some temperatures down around 9 degrees is what they reported here in Garden City. We had a couple other freeze events, one latter part of March and then actually one 1st of April, I think. Basically kind of how you evaluate freeze damage in wheat is you can go out and basically start with a knife, and I use my finger, but split stems. A normal head in the stem will have kind of basically a white to light green color. I mean, that's kind of normal. You know, whenever you see freeze damage, and it can depend on the level of freeze damage, but you know, severe freeze damage, you know, on wheat that's post-joint, you know, damage to the heads in those stems, you know, a lot of times those stems will be or the little heads in there will be brown. We'll start after about 2 weeks, they'll start to turn brown. Just won't have, you know, a normal color that a wheat head will, you know, without freeze damage. You know, freeze typically in the middle of March, you know, normally isn't an issue. You know, normally the wheat's not maybe quite as far along. This year's kind of an exception. I've been out and talking to some of my fellow agronomists down in the southern territories, northern territories. The only area that we've seen some damage is in some of the southern territories, and basically some of those varieties, wheat varieties that break dormancy a little earlier than others. So I think right now I'm pretty optimistic, you know, as far as from the freezes that the damage is pretty minimal at worst. As you can see, this wheat here, still hanging on pretty good. You know, it's got a nice green color. You know, not really seeing a whole lot of stress. Getting a shovel, you can take a little more care to dig it up to see how deep it's rooted down. But as you can see, that top's pretty dry. I mean, it just kind of powder and falls away. So, you know, that's where a lot of that root is in that dry soil. It's got good profile down second, you know, in that second, third foot. It's just a lot of the roots aren't there yet. Man, if we could get a good, you know, half-inch rain, kind of wet that top and allow them roots to get on down in that deeper moisture, we'd be in, you know, we'll be in a lot better shape. It's starting to get really dry. The lower leaves are starting to die off. It's really starting to stress. You can see that brown, kind of brown, starting to turn. I mean, here's some wheat here that's, you know, pretty drouthy looking. Leaves are curled up. Just shallow root system. Just needs a rain. This field's probably been sprayed. You're not really seeing any mustards really, other than right here on the edges where the sprayer didn't get. But you know, it's kind of getting too late now. Probably spray mustards and do a lot of good. Once this mustard starts flowering, it gets really hard to control. The drought's probably the biggest concern that we and talking to other agronomists have at this point. Right now in this wheat, like I said, not a lot a guy needs to be doing, assuming, like I said, you already maybe top dressed or addressed weeds and mustards in the wheat. Like I said, it's kind of a waiting game now. Hopefully we can get some moisture, you know, get this wheat going, and then, like I said, it just kind of keeping an eye out for rust as we move along if we do get some moisture, cutworm and some of those type things. But as far as right now, I guess not a whole lot you know, guys are doing or need to really do on this wheat. If you have any questions or concerns, contact one of the agronomists here at the Garden City Co-op. We'll be glad to help you.